Musclebox Radio, season number 2. This is episode 5. I'm Stephen Box, and today I'm joined by Michael Harrison from Team Box. How you doing?
Hello. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks. How are you?
Mate, very good, thank you. Very good. So thanks for coming on again.
Oh, it's always a pleasure.
It's always good to have you on, mate. We always have good chats.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got a bit of an interesting show today. But before we get into the show, myself and Mike just wanted to say that we've got a bit of an announcement to make, haven't we?
Yeah, we're now a couple. I bet you can't guess who Big Spoon is.
Yeah. See, I thought you were going to say about the baby.
Well,
we are expecting.
We are expecting. Steve's pregnant currently.
Yeah, no, that's not our announcement. And myself and Mike aren't a couple, unfortunately.
Yeah. I'm sure it happened at some point.
Yeah.
No progression that way, but yeah.
Yeah, that's it, mate. It'll happen. But anyway, so we are launching group coaching once again. Group coaching is going to be launched on the 1st of September. So as you know, this podcast, Musclebox Radio, is brought to you by Team Box. That's the company that we work for and make it sick, don't we?
Yeah, group coaching is obviously, like, we wanted to provide something because we're obviously limited and we're capped with our own one-to-one clients. We wanted to help a little bit more and do something for people who perhaps can't afford it or maybe don't have certain commitments. And just reach a bit of a broader audience, but still deliver quality content and get them good results. Whereas in the same sort of price bracket, you're going to be getting a lot of rubbish from someone else. So we just thought, why not if we've got the capability for it? Yeah,
definitely, because it was one of those things that I doubted myself for ages whether I was even good enough to do it. And after working with hundreds of people and stuff like that, I've kind of thought I'll put together this system and flow charts and help guides and all the kind of stuff that was needed in. Pretty much to all the people that engaged in the program. And obviously you get some people, like you said, that might have signed up, but they dropped off because they didn't have the commitment at the time or whatever it might be, or it just wasn't right for them at that stage. But the people that did, do the program had 100% results. Everyone lost weight. But not only that, the most important thing, that everyone recorded that they either looked visually leaner or they recorded that they looked a lot leaner at the end. And we had some crazy things, like someone lost 12 kilos in 12 weeks, which is nuts. And they continued, because the program only ran for 10 weeks, they continued for another 2 and it kept going. In the 6 weeks, we had like females losing 5 kilos in 6 weeks. So it's some really good weight loss and some really good transformations from it. So yeah, because what we often find as well, I don't know if you have the same, but speaking to a lot of because we do those, for anyone that doesn't know, but we do free consultancy calls with people that are interested in coaching, just so we can go over like what it entails, any questions that they might have, their expectations, and get to know each other a little bit. And a lot of people have told me that they've just had their fingers burnt so many times with coaching and online nutritionists and all that sort of stuff from people that, do one show and all of a sudden start selling diet plans the day after. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly that. Unfortunately, that seems to be a bit too common in our industry, and I think sometimes it can give people bad names, or maybe people come with expected ideas. But yeah, I think obviously you ran group coaching, first of all, for free to make sure everything was refined. You knew that then you could get people results doing it that way. And then that's how it's sort of come about. It's not something where people are trying to make a fast buck nowadays. We've really, really gone through the processes and make things better every step of the way before we actually, launched it properly. But yeah, it's a great platform. And obviously yeah, like you said, we've seen some fantastic results, and we will continue to do so.
And for those people that maybe have had their fingers burnt, it's been a great way for them to come in, see what we're about, see some of the resources that we provide, the content that we give out, the support that we give, even in a group scenario. Then they go, yeah, actually, I'm ready to sign up now for one-to-one coaching, because they want that more, support and those more resources and the information and even better results, don't they? So it's a great stepping stone.
Oh, yeah, certainly. I think, yeah, people can be sort of skeptical if they've done the shred plan by X coach or personal trainer or whatever it is, and typically they're expecting a load of rubbish, because we've seen our fair share of them, right? But then, yeah, it's a nice sort of stepping stone to be like, actually, these guys provide quality. Yeah. How many times do you get a client come in and they've worked with numerous coaches and they're like, look, it's absolutely nothing. I was not expecting this. And yeah, it's really nice, because obviously we know that we're wanting to provide that service, right? And that's something that all 6 coaches have got in common. We're all wanting to do the best by everybody, really.
Yeah, I mean, I just had it this week, actually. I had a client sign up. He's worked with a very reputable coach before. I won't mention any names or anything. And sort of said actually he was a bit disappointed, and kind of he expected more. I've just sent him his nutrition log, his training program, his training log, all the documents that we give, and he was like, this is incredible. Like, it blows this other company out of the park with what we've just done. And he's like buzzing to get started now, and it's really good to get that sort of motivation out of a client. And obviously most of the value comes in the coaching or the coach behind all the documents and stuff, but when you've got someone there who's excited about what they're seeing and what they're paying for, then that's brilliant, because you're going to get much better engagement, involvement, and better results at the end of the day.
Sure.
So yeah, so that's going to be launching on the 1st of September. If you are interested, you can apply now, and we will have a bespoke landing page for it, so you can check that out. But we do have prices and what you get on the website, and we can start taking pre-orders. So if you want to get on that waiting list before it starts, head over to www.team-box.co.uk, and it's on the homepage. About halfway down, you'll see all of our packages compared, so you can see what you get for the price. And I think it starts at $9.99 a week.
Absolute steal.
Steal, yeah. That's
really,
that's like a beer in London.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
that's not even a cinema ticket, and you can't get shredded going to the cinema.
Absolutely not.
If anything, quite the opposite. And that doesn't even include pick and mix.
God, pick and mix is good.
It is, mate. But you will end up spending £10 on pick and mix.
Oh yeah. But yeah, it's great, and obviously we're always open to applicants for his one-to-one coaches as well. But
yep, if you want to see, yeah, exactly. If you want to feel like actually don't need group coaching, I want to go straight on to work with Mike, because you want to know his expert hair advice.
Expert is pushing it, I think.
But no, you can always go on and apply for coaching, because there's no time like the now, is there, to get started. Because if you want to lose weight or gain more muscle or get some abs, step on stage, do a photo shoot, whatever it might be, yeah, get in touch. Anyway, so should we crack on with the show?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool, we've got some good bits. So without further ado, let's get into the show. Are going to be talking about our own training, and it's something that I've sort of spoke about recently on the podcast. It's, if you've been following Mike's social media or mine, you'll see that we've been giving each other endless amounts of shit. I've been accusing him of using fake plates when he's tagging me in his posts. Mike's been accusing me of being weak and pathetic, was it?
Yeah, well, basically, at the end of the day, when you can't keep up, you're going to retaliate. And that's only normal. And like I said to you before, even if they were fake plates, I'm not confident that you could lift them. So that's absolutely fine, mate. The numbers speak louder than your words.
Yeah, but all I saw though was a loaded bar. I didn't see any depth of squat or anything. What was that like?
I went a good 3 inches.
That's probably 2 inches too far, mate. You only need the 1 inch. That'll do.
Well, that's all they say.
Let's call that the episode of the podcast, the mighty
Right.
1 inch. Yeah, that'll get all the views.
All you need.
Yeah, let's not even talk about fitness. But anyway, yeah. So how has training been going? So you're on the program that I've wrote.
Yes, training is going well.
What
I enjoyed it.
what was your first thoughts when you saw it?
Okay, so it's a throwback to how I used to train. So, like, I used to train the way, I think, because I just absolutely loved smashing myself and the volume and things, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I obviously used to train that way for a reason. But then as I've become a little bit more evidence-based and looked at research, and I've sort of adapted my training, and I can say that I have seen pretty good results. I'm stronger than I've ever been, and I feel as though I'm in the best condition that I've ever been. But when I saw the plan, it was just like I was excited because I felt as though I'd got a little bit stale with my training, and it was a bit samey. And it was just a proper throwback to what I used to do. And yeah, after the first week, I absolutely loved it. I'm loving going into my sessions. I'm excited every time I get there. And yeah, it feels really, really good. Yeah. How does this plan differ to what you've done?
Yeah, a lot different.
In a good way?
Yeah, definitely. It is actually a lot similar to how I used to probably train a few years back. And yeah, I'm loving it at the moment. Again, like, I was in that same position, going to the gym, doing my 6 sets, doing my my 6 exercises, my 4 sets of, I don't know, anywhere from 6 to 10 reps, and that was all I was doing really, and trying not to fatigue myself, and doing multiple frequency. I was bored. Really, really bored.
Yeah, it can. If you're working the same rep ranges, and yeah, it can get a little bit boring. But yeah, it's really, really nice. I think, just to give a brief overview of what we're doing, so it doesn't sound like, the listeners are in the dark, is that started to incorporate.
So should we go from the start? What's the format look like?
Yeah, so the format is a 5-day split, and it's a push, pull, legs, upper, lower split. It's working not many working sets, however, it's quite high repetition. So that ranges from sort of your compound movements, which are about a 10 to 12 rep range. And then we have some in the 12 to 15 rep range. And I think some of the isolation work is in the 15 to 20 rep range.
All the volume?
Yeah, so high rep, but really quite sort of low sets. It's 3s and 2s. And yeah, it's structured in a way where we're performing mainly sort of supersets. And yeah, you get a real good sort of pump. You're in and out of the gym fairly quickly. And yeah, you feel it. Yeah.
And the only, and we're going to get into this, aren't we? How it is different to what science would say.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to, obviously earlier I said that, I was a bit bored of my training before, doing a higher frequency. And it's not that doesn't work, and it certainly does. You do get results, as we know. But it just, like you said, it just got stale for me, and I didn't have that motivation. And underlining, we'll go into that at the end actually. But yeah, so how are we going against science with this current training program?
Okay, so essentially, what all the studies would suggest is that obviously training is and hypertrophy is dictated by progressive tension overload. So lifting at a greater intensity of load from more volume over time. And essentially, to do that, we've got research that suggests that 3-minute resting is better than 1-minute resting in terms of hypertrophy, because of the recovery capabilities within that rest period. We've got research saying that pre-exhaust work actually has less activation on the target muscle in the sort of compound movement after the pre-exhaust. We've got research.
So a pre-exhaust is like if you were to do pec flies or something like that, then do bench press.
Yeah, so essentially you see a lot of people pre-exhaust their chest with the pec flies, and then they might do a bench.
Yeah.
Think they're going to get greater activation of the chest because they've just activated it during the flies. However, they've actually fatigued their chest on a much lower load by doing the flies. Because that chest is now fatigued, the load that they're actually using in the bench press is reduced. And in fact, there's greater activation of the triceps within that bench press. So again, less activation of the chest, which is essentially the target muscle.
Yeah.
So there's research on that. There's research to say that that supersets actually don't increase hypertrophy again because you're not resting. So you're unable to maintain that intensity of load. It does have increased markers of muscle damage. So creatine kinase was elevated for roughly 5 days.
2 seconds, Mike.
Which shows that the muscle has used for those 5 days, then less likely to stay again because the muscle is still damaged. Again, the same result in terms of the frequency and the volume throughout the rest of the week. So essentially, it's harder to recover from supersets, meaning that subsequent volume and volume load over the week may be reduced because of these supersets. So those are three studies that I've just sort of looked into.
Sorry, just to butt in there, Mike. I want to say I think we may have had a bit of a bad internet connection there. So apologies if there was any sound disturbance over the last couple of minutes with that. But basically, Mike was essentially saying there, because I think it kind of cut out for a little bit there, Mike, that with the supersets, and correct me if I'm wrong with the research that you've just read, but because you're fatiguing that muscle by doing the same muscle group superset, because it's fatiguing, you're not able to get as much work done, so it's reducing the time and the tension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, yeah. The muscle damage markers of creatine kinase and DOMS were prolonged in. It was a study done on group supersets. So same body superset. So it was done on chest fly and bench, and then also I'm going to say leg press and leg extension.
Yeah.
And that was done versus alternate supersets, where it was on chest and superset, so not the same muscle group. And the markers of muscle damage were elevated in the grouped supersets, so the ones on the same muscle group. So essentially what that means is if you're training with a frequency of more than one a week, so let's say you are doing it twice a week, you are still damaged going into that second session because of the increased muscle damage markers from the increased DOMS and the increased creatine kinase because of the
previous session.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. Again, we're having some pretty bad internet connections here, so we're going to take a quick break and then we're just going to reset. So we want to apologise about any technical difficulties there. Our internet Skype connection kind of broke out a little bit. Mike, can you hear me now okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Cool. So we've just turned our videos off, so this hopefully will get us a better connection. Anyway, so we're just talking about kind of how supersets can essentially, on the same muscle groups, build up fatigue, and when it's starting to build up fatigue, you can either not lift as much, or actually you start to use other muscle groups that start to do the work instead of the targeted muscle groups that you're wanting to build and train. So if you do have a stubborn or lagging body part and you're constantly trying to hit it with certain exercises, but other muscle groups are taking over, then actually it's not very effective exercises at all to get those targeted muscles to actually grow. Is that right?
Yeah, essentially. So in essence, that's why our training sort of goes against what the research is saying, because we're not utilising rest periods. We are doing supersets. We are doing pre-exhaust work. So against those three studies,
Well, basically, we are bro, and that's where we like it, mate.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
So here is my counter to those points. Yeah. So when I originally designed the training program, when I design a training program, one of the things that I'm taking into consideration, because there's one thing that governs everyone's training, and that is time, right? Mm-hmm. So in an ideal world, I don't have the luxury as I once did with my training. I do not have the luxury to have, 3 to 5 minute rest periods in between my, 3 to 6 sets, for example, on a much heavier load in things. Because quite frankly, if I do that, I'm only getting in a few exercises. Now, given the time that I have, by using supersets specifically, where I can add in a little bit more volume from different angles and rep ranges, then I'm actually, for me, feeling like I'm able to add in more total volume load and over the chest compared to the other side of things. So that's kind of where I sort of see and was the purpose. And also, I think there is a big difference between someone that is in tune with their training in terms of activation. Like, let's say I was to do a pre-exhaustion, and I've done it before in legs, where I've done 20 to 30 rep sets on leg extensions and then gone into back squats, for example. Because of the way that I train, I still feel the greatest tension in my quads and glutes when I squat. Whereas I've seen other people who I've been training with, and all of a sudden that pre-exhaustion work is now meant that they're doing a back squat with their lower back. So I think that can make a big difference, is the skill level that someone's at, and whether you're in tune with, if you were to do pec flies first in that study, for example, and then going on to bench press, I would be able to feel that my triceps were getting involved, and that's when you need to make adjustments, right?
Yeah, essentially. However, the load would need to be reduced in the second part of the exercise, and I would counter that by saying that study compared alternate supersetting, so of alternate muscles, so essentially an upper and a lower superset. That was favourable over a same body part superset. So let's say you are training and you're short on time, it might be wise to superset alternate muscles and still give yourself essentially a 3-minute break from the muscle. So let's say you do a tricep extension. You would rest 1 minute, then perform your leg extension, let's say, rest 1 minute again, and then go to your tricep extension. So you're essentially using a different muscle group within your rest period, and it's still a superset. You are still recovering, and you're still getting 3 minutes rest between the body part. But the reason why I do like this training is because in studies, great, it's potentially not a huge amount of difference in terms of hypertrophy over periods of time, right? And if your training is stale, are you attacking it at the same intensity as what you potentially could be? So surely the sheer enjoyment of going in is likely to make you perform slightly better because you're enjoying your session, you're pretty pumped. And is that going to make a difference in terms of the training? Because we know that 1 time a week training can work. We know that high volume training can work. There's nothing that doesn't work. You know, in rotations, it all works. Like when people say, you shouldn't do that because this is better, it might be better in the studies over a short period of time, sure. But it all works. God, people have trained in so many different styles with so many different splits, and everybody gets results, right? Look at top bodybuilders performing bro splits with tons of volume. Volume. And I know we can't always equate, assisted bodybuilders with natural populations, but when we first started, we will have trained a bro split with a lot of volume, and did we see results? Of course we saw results. There's no such thing as not getting results. So for me, why I like this, and even though it's going against the science, I think that the sheer enjoyment and the passion I've got for this style of training is outweighing the small potential benefits of doing it another way, I feel. Yeah,
because we're still, at the end of the day, we're still getting in frequency. We're still training muscle groups twice a week. We're still doing 4 to 6 working sets. No, actually double that. 8 to 12 working sets as a minimum per muscle group over the week. So all those things are supported by the evidence. But like you said, the intensity is so much greater. I now don't skip sessions. Whereas, go back last month and I was like, oh, I'm a bit busy today. Do you know what? I'll knock training on the head and I'll just go 3 times a week. Yeah, I know. All the research says I can still do 3 sessions and still progress. No, I'm in 5 times. Like the simple fact that I'm getting in 2 more sessions a week now, that's volume that I'm getting, which you can't even equate for. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if we were to look at those two, yes, it would be great to have, on-point motivation with an on-point program and with an on-point lifestyle setup. That means you can maximize training and everything else. But unfortunately, life dictates otherwise, right?
Oh, 100%, yeah. 100%.
And any evidence-based practitioner, right? What do we say of nutrition? You've got to enjoy what you're eating, right?
It's exactly the same.
And you've got to adhere to what you're doing. Like, you've got to remain consistent. There's got to be adherence, and you've got to enjoy it. So the most evidence-based practitioners and the scientists out there would say and agree that tick those 3 boxes, then move on to the next thing in that pyramid, or that next part of the hierarchy of importance, which is then, let's say, frequency or whatever it might be, right?
It's exactly the same. Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. It's exactly the same as nutrition. Everybody harps on about it's the best diet that you can stick to, because essentially any diet works. And I feel the same about training. All training works within reason. I'm not to pick up the pink weights and do sets of 1,000 or whatever. Within reason. So essentially, if all diets work and all training works, then preference is key. Yeah. Yes, there might be slightly better diets to maybe maintain more muscle, provide more energy, more satiety, whatever. And yes, there might be better ways of training, but essentially, it's the one that you can stick to, and one that you enjoy doing, because you're more likely then to adhere, right?
Yeah, and I mean, already on this program, I'm seeing some good results and good progress. I'm looking full, I'm feeling strong, I'm not injured. That's another thing. I must admit, when I was doing high frequency training, I had this tendency, because I was squatting so frequently, I was like, yeah, put more load on, I can do it. And IT band was messed up, and I was like, it took me back in ages, and I was like, well, where's that actually getting me, apart from injured? Because I am unable to rein myself in when I train. Like, that's just so again, it's knowing the way that I train and knowing what I enjoy and staying within my limits, but making sure I progress in, getting stronger and things. So yeah, I mean, and let's be honest, it's not like we're saying, right, this is the best program, everyone must do it, and we're going to stay on it forever. We're not. We're going to change it up. We'll do something different. We'll put something else in a cycle. But what can people look forward to at the end of our experiment, Mike?
What can they look forward to?
Should we tell them?
Go on.
So at the end of this 12-week phase that myself and Mike are going through, we're actually going to sell this program, aren't we, for you listening to enjoy back home?
We are.
So it's a little bit different, and I'll give some instructions. We'll make some videos on how to execute the program. But yeah, so if you are interested in that, send me an email, and I'll get you on a waiting list or a newsletter, so that when we do release it, then yeah, you'll be the first to hear about it. And we'll need to come up for a good name for this program, won't we?
Yeah, I'm sure we can come up with something. The amount of rubbish that comes out of my mouth.
Yeah, like the Box Bro plan or something.
Yeah, something daft.
Yeah. So anyway, give me an email, info@team-box.co.uk, and yeah, if you're interested, send me a mail, and then we'll. The more emails we'll get, the more encouragement we'll get to actually get it all finished anyway, because there'll be a greater demand for it. So anyway, that will be good, Mike. So what session you on today, mate?
I've done an upper session today.
Oh, an upper, nice. Yeah, so me and you did pull, didn't we, on Tuesday with Chris? Yep. I think Chris was in bits by the sounds of it after.
Yeah, he messaged me saying he had dreadful back DOMs.
Yeah, nice. There is always something funny about DOMs. And then I rested Wednesday. Did you do push that day?
I did do push. Yeah.
How did you get on with bench press?
Oh, it's not. Wait. Bench. Did I do push?
Yeah, it starts with bench press and then goes on.
So did we do pull? Oh yeah, yeah, decent. Yeah, I did. I can get my log up now because obviously we're still logging our training as well. So although we are going a little bit bro and supersetting, we are still logging. So we are still trying to push the intensity of the load pretty much every week. But I've literally got it here. Yeah, so I was doing. I got 12 reps, 13 reps on 105 kilos.
Mate,
So
that's
yes,
nice.
not too bad.
I got up to 100 for 10.
Nice, mate. Yeah, strong.
Yes, that was nice. Yeah, so I was pretty happy with that. So I'll build on from that. Today I've got legs though, so I've got the squat session. But I've been doing the squats banded. You've been doing it without bands, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
So we'll see what I fancy today. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's a disgusting workout.
Oh, filthy.
I normally have to lay down for a while in between.
Yeah, it's pretty poor. Yeah, I was a hell of a mess. What's the superset? There was a superset on leg extensions and sissy squats, and God Almighty, yeah, people must have been looking at me thinking I was a freak because honestly, like my legs were like jelly.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. I had it the other week where I was on the hack squat session on the lower body day, hack squats and leg extensions. And I didn't know if I could stand up, sit down or what. I just couldn't even straighten my legs. They were just felt like they were going to burst.
I mean, we're really selling this plan, right?
Yeah. I mean, it takes a certain type of person to want to download and buy this program.
An idiot.
Yeah, but just if you are listening and you are interested, it's not all supersets. There are some other little techniques that we use in there, some magic sauce that we like to throw in.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, well, we can sort of go into that at another time. So, Mike, is there anything else you want to talk about in terms of training? Maybe where we're doing things different, or something that you've read recently that you found quite interesting, or that you think people should know about?
No, not in particular. Not in terms of training. I think I've just been happy, just cracking on. Because, like I said, I got a little bit stale before, but just happy cracking on with this. But obviously, in terms of my nutrition and my sort of life, I've started tracking again. I've weighed myself for the first time since November. So a good what we're in now, August. So what, 8-9 months now.
Nice.
Yeah, and I've not tracked for the last 6 months. So I've sort of eaten intuitively, in quotations. And yeah, it feels really good. Obviously, having that sort of break from that side of things has just sort of left me with a bit of fresh motivation. And now that I'm back on it, I seem to be just a lot more accountable. And yeah, I'm really, really, really loving it.
So me and you next year doing the same show again, aren't we?
Are we?
Yeah.
That wasn't the plan.
Yeah, it was.
We're doing a shoot in August, right?
Yeah, I thought the plan was that we were going to do the same show
In
in September.
Incorrect. I'm going on holiday in July. That's why I'm starting my prep a year early.
Oh,
I'm sure I'll still be in condition in September, and especially because I'll be staying in condition to compete at the nationals next year when I qualify, if I qualify even.
well, mate, that's why we're doing September.
I mean, I'll probably attend every show in the hope of qualifying, but nobody else turns up.
Yeah.
Surely there must be one in the arse end of somewhere in England.
No one goes to.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I booked a holiday for July next year.
Nice.
Yeah, so, but obviously September's a couple of months after that, and if I'm competing in July before I go, I'll be going away on holiday pretty lean, so I doubt I'll put on too much.
Yeah.
And not be able to get it back off in 2 months, but...
Yeah. Exactly. Last time you came back leaner from holiday, didn't you? So
I did.
it's all to play for, mate. Yeah, but I think, mate, we should do the Welsh again.
I mean, I'm not adverse to it.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm just trying to rope in as many people to do it with me.
Well, I think when you're in condition, that sort of condition doesn't tend to stay around for very long. So I think I might do what Emil did last year and get as many shoots and as many shows under my belt
Milk it.
before another sort of long off season, and try to improve again. But yeah, I'm sure I'll be on that stage with you, mate. Yeah,
Good, 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 good. Yeah, I'm gonna milk it, I think.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Um,
So yeah, now I've got, and it's nice for me to have a bit of a goal now because I'm like, right, I've got essentially 11 months to bring the best bodybuilding package I've ever brought before to the stage, which is exciting.
mm, yeah, I
Uh,
mean even longer, mate, because your maths was dreadful. 13 months even. Um,
oh yes, yeah, that is actually, yeah.
Even longer.
You've just given me an extra 2 months, mate.
An extra 6 kilos of solid muscle, surely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
No, that could be 4 kilos you've just given me though. Weight loss. Nice. I'll take the extra 2 months. But yeah, so I'm just excited about that to feel like what can I achieve next year. Um, yeah, because as we know, mate, I'm not the biggest guy, am I? But when I do pose, I do inflate.
yeah, it's ridiculous to be honest. Like it's ridiculous. Yeah, your proportions are outstanding. But yeah, it's one of those things. That's what bodybuilding is. Nobody's standing on a scale when they're on stage. It's about the package that you present, and
Out
yeah,
angling.
exactly, exactly, mate. But
It's,
yeah,
it's a game of who can out angle the next guy next to him.
it is.
That's
But
what it's about.
both back a little bit bigger. Having, we'll have both had the same sort of off season. So
Yeah.
I know that I'm obviously starting prep early this year, so I don't have a drastic amount to lose because I feel that just with the aggressive nature of my diet last year, I will have lost some muscle tissue.
hmm
So hopefully I will have restored that and maybe a little bit extra on top. So hopefully I can come in bigger than last year and bring a better package.
And what we should probably do, mate, is book in our Dexers again.
Yeah, what, before the shoot, or should we do it before the show, or
Well, we should probably do it around now, I reckon.
we should do one now, right?
If you want, I can get some dates for us. Did you get a package deal?
I can't remember whether I did, but I don't mind, just paying again.
Yeah. I thought you got a package.
I might have done. I've got a big package, you know this. We're a couple.
Yeah, so because we've got Harry coming to see us in a couple of weeks, so we could always get everything filmed nicely.
Yeah, that'd be nice if we could get in then.
Yeah, I will try and sort that out today. It's on my list to do. So yeah, that'll be sweet. And then what we can do is see where we are in the off season, and then see where we are next year in prep. And by the time I've had my 13 months off season, hopefully gain. I mean, I could do with 20 kilos, but hey, I'll just have to deal with a couple
Yeah, mate,
if I can do that.
I've seen a few plans guaranteeing 20 kilos of muscle in 4 weeks. So
Yeah.
just go on a couple of those, you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Yeah, that's it. Mate, that's quality. So, no, I think we covered some good bits there about our training. And I think when this gets released, all the psychopaths who want to try it, they can download it and give it a go and let us know what they're like.
Yeah, nice. Did we have any questions this week?
We did, yeah. So I've just put a post out on Instagram to see if anyone had any questions. We had a first question from Dan: who's stronger and who uses fake plates?
I think Dan knows the answer to this.
Yeah.
But if he's trying to troll us, he really is in no position, considering he's the weakest member of Team Box, including Laura. So, yeah, sorry, Dan.
Yeah. Sorry, Dan. And then I've had a message from one of my clients at the moment who is currently on a high carb day. So normally with weight loss, what I tend to do is just give clients a couple of high days, one, maybe 2 high days, just to sort of make them feel a little bit better. But in off season, we're trying out something a little bit different because he sort of mentioned to me he'd be interested in doing something or what my thoughts were. And I said, look, the best thing we can do is try it and see how you get on with it. So what we're doing is some super high carb days on training days and then much lower days. So rather than having an average across the board, across the week, we've got these higher days and lower days around training. So he said he would like to know our thoughts on whether doing that it would impact nutrient utilization, and whether it could impact body comp, and whether it would have a beneficial effect on training intensity and recovery. So what are your thoughts?
I mean, my thoughts are, so what it, I think I know the answer. Is he on 450 grams on a training day, 300 on an off day?
Yeah, so 450 and then 300, yeah.
So essentially, he might be getting some training performance benefit by.
So he's in an off season as well, so he's trying to gain muscle. That's the other context.
Yes, so I think obviously having a higher day on the training day to elicit a greater sort of training performance is probably a good idea. In terms of recovery, I think obviously you don't just recover on that day, you're also going to be recovering the next day. So if the next day is an off day anyway, and it's going to be much of a muchness for me in terms of recovery, especially on that amount of carbohydrates. He is going to be recovering. But yeah, I think certainly maybe putting more carbs on a training day could be beneficial to his training. And obviously if you're not training the following day, essentially you don't need to fuel that performance that you're not doing. In terms of substrate utilization, no, for me. If he's talking about whether it's going to increase his capacity to uptake carbohydrates because he's having a slightly lower day, 300 grams is not low. You're not going to improve any insulin sensitivity through that, if that's what he's talking about. But yeah, certainly there could be an increased training performance because obviously carbohydrates are the main energy source of training. But
there's also the placebo effect, isn't there, of pre-workout nutrition?
I do think so, because at 300 grams of carbs and over anyway, he's never ever going to be depleted.
Yeah.
How much glycogen is he going to be using in a session? Does he need you see some people have stupid amounts of carbohydrates, but it's like, do you use that much? And as we know that if carbohydrates are equal, you're still going to get the same amount of glycogen replenishment anyway, so the recovery is going to be the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I do think there's potential benefits to training performance, and obviously, like you said, the placebo, but energy balance is energy balance across the week, I think.
Exactly. No, and that was it. And I said, look, that was my opinion, was, look, energy balance is the overriding factor here with all these things, but let's give it a try. Let's see if you prefer it. I know what it's like sometimes in an off season when you're struggling to put food in to gain weight, because sometimes it can take a fair amount of food to actually gain weight with some people. And having that help of placebo, or thinking, right, just having a time where you can structure in, I'm going to get 30 grams in or 40 grams pre-workout, maybe 30 grams intra-workout, and then maybe 30 to 40 grams, post-workout within some shakes and stuff, just allows it to become a little bit easier to get those nutrients in on board when they're, at a time where, it's not going to hurt to have more glucose in the system then anyway, because obviously the training stimulus itself. So I don't think it's going to hurt. I don't think it's going to make him Mr. Olympia. But I think why not try it,
Yeah, I genuinely think it's probably much of a muchness at that amount of carbohydrates. Yeah. I think something can be said for if he was dieting, and potentially I might put him really quite low on his off days, and then have higher carbohydrates around his training days, when you're trying to keep a good training performance to obviously try to hold as much muscle as possible whilst dieting. So I think there could be something for that in a fat loss phase, but
providing you can adhere to it, right? Because that's I think some of the reported things with people that we get to us, and they're like, oh, my previous coach had me on this or whatever, and it's like it just wasn't suited for that individual because they couldn't handle their low days.
Yeah, again, it's always going to come down to adherence, but if you had a robot who could adhere, then I think maybe there would be some benefit. That's something that I do with some of my clients is that if I know that they can dig for a day on an off day, and they're only having to get through one day at a time, and then they get a higher day the next day, it gives them a bit of a motivation to just get through that one day rather than going through obviously some coaches plan sort of 6 lower days with a big cheat day and things like that.
Yeah.
And dragging your ass for 6 days is never going to be good. But in an off season, I think it's going to be much of a muchness. He's going to be in a surplus. He's never going to be depleted. He's going to be recovering well regardless. You know,
Nice.
It's what it is.
Yeah. We've got one last question, Mike. One last question. Have you got time?
I have.
So, question, this came through on Instagram. Always a heated discussion in our gym. So is there any evidence to support those claiming that having a protein shake is just giving you expensive pee, and that due to the way the protein absorbs nutrients, due to the way the body absorbs nutrients, protein needs to be taken in food form to ensure optimal absorption? It's not always easy to hit protein macros. Do you add whey to baking instead of shakes? But basically, are whey protein shakes a load of tosh?
Obviously, no, they're not. Obviously, to say that you can't absorb something if it's in liquid form completely throws out any notion that you could even take on the calories then from those sources. And obviously, you can.
Yeah.
Alcohol, for example. Very calorie dense.
I mean, it's where the whole beer belly thing came from, right?
Yeah, fruit juice. Coke, Coca-Cola.
Just to clarify on that one, what the
I don't think there's any calories in cocaine, but yeah, I think that it's just a ridiculous notion saying that if you're drinking your protein, it's going to pass straight through you, because you're still taking on board those calories.
Yeah.
So yeah, and whey essentially is the same protein found in cheese, right? So it's the same thing when broken down. It's going to be broken down into amino acids and used for all the great things that protein provides us with.
It's like I did this recently. I blended a chicken breast with some water.
You did this?
I did this, yeah.
What's wrong with you?
I mean, I was giving it to my dog, but that's not the point. But I did try it to see what it tastes like.
Was it good?
Yeah, it's alright. It just tastes like cold chicken soup.
Oh, fair enough.
But at the end of the day, it's still consuming a chicken breast.
Yeah, exactly.
But with some water now.
Yeah, exactly that.
There is no difference.
Yeah, I mean, if you couldn't consume liquid calories, I'd be down at McDonald's smashing the milkshakes in. Do you know what I mean? If only we weed it all out, then yeah, I would prefer that to be the case, because I'd be drunk every weekend and I'd be on the milkshakes.
And you'd be shredded.
Yeah.
Absolutely peeled. No, and it's a valid one, because obviously, we are led to believe by what we hear on the internet. I did a post about this, and actually sometimes for some people, you've got to be careful on who you listen to, because with some people, a little bit of knowledge is dangerous. So I think when it comes to protein intake, we know that the most important factor about protein is the total amount that you can ingest in a day, right?
Yep.
However, if you were to, let's say you were to have, 2 grams per kilo of body weight of protein. So if you're, an 80 kilo guy, that's 160 grams of protein. Now, if you were to slam in 160 grams of protein post-workout in one shake, that then is nowhere near as good as having, 4 lots of 40 grams of protein across the day, because you'll be going to be missing your opportunity to spike muscle protein synthesis those extra 3 times in the day, right? So that's when, things might not be as optimal. But to go to the, extent of saying it's expensive pee is extremely, I think, naive,
Yeah, certainly. You've hit the nail on the head. I can't really expand on that. If that is floating around your gym, just carry on doing what you're doing. Maybe point them in the way of this podcast, and enjoy your whey shakes.
It's not easy just to get, when I'm at work and I'm like, oh God, I need to get a meal in. I'll grab a whey shake because it's convenient. Like that's the whole purpose of them. I have a whey shake before I go to bed. I have a whey shake after my gym. Like, I'm getting the whey shakes in, and I've done that for years, and I feel like I've achieved a pretty reasonable physique off the back of it. Yeah, it's not the only factor, but it's part of it. Is making sure I get enough protein in my day, along with spiking muscle protein synthesis frequently enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think that's a good one to end on, Mike.
Yeah, nice.
So just a quick one. What's one stupid thing that you've done in the past which you regret doing when it comes to nutritional training?
Oh God, stupid thing I've done in the past with training. I took a couple of, I trained for a couple of years, and then I got sloppy for a couple of years, took a couple of years off, and when I returned, I went in with a bang, and I used to do full body sessions, but high volume full body sessions on a daily basis with 2 hours cardio. So I was in the gym for about 4 hours, and I kept it up for I think about 10 days.
Nice.
And then obviously I stopped. But yeah, there was 10 days, and I remember because I was in the Air Force at the time. I remember people coming up to me in the gym, like the guys who worked in there, the PTs, going like, "You've been in here ages." And I was like, "Yeah, I know, yeah." Like, but, yeah, not good.
Nice. No, well, that's quality, mate. Anyway, thanks for coming on to the show.
Anytime.
Again, if you're listening and you want to work with Mike or myself or any of the Teambox coaches, then head over to www.team-box.co.uk and you can check out our website, prices, what you get, what you don't get, all that kind of stuff. There's FAQs, videos from our clients, loads of good stuff on the new website that's recently been updated. So check it out, and hope you enjoyed listening. Remember, please leave us a review, good, bad, ugly, whatever. We read them, don't we, Mike? We really appreciate it. It helps us get the word out there, and please share it with your network. You know, all you need to do is head on over to the episode. Once you've selected the episode, you can then get basically, when you click on Musclebox Radio, and you'll see the episode title, the three little dots there. If you click that at the bottom on your iPhone, it will say share episode. We would really love and appreciate a share, just to help us spread the word of hopefully what you think is good content to help you with your training and nutrition goals.